Hey guys.
All right. Hey.
How's it going?
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
I thought it was Christmas.
No.
Oh. Who are you supposed to be then?
Yeah, Santa
If
Claus.
you thought it was, I think it's /Claus.
I always dress like this.
Oh, okay. That's good. I didn't know that. It has been a while since we've been
yeah.
on.
You do look like you've changed a little.
Yeah.
You've
I'm not the only one.
you got some thick dreads over there.
Yeah. My hair grows fast.
Yeah. I like it.
It's kind of annoying.
Well, speaking of growing hair, the two of us are part of a mustache growing challenge for
Are you guys?
our church.
Can't you see it right here?
For me, I mean, I decided to grow everything because
might as well.
it would be weird just to do a mustache.
It'd be weird. Nowadays, it would be weird if you just had this.
Especially when you're working with kids.
Yeah. I feel like that raises a lot of unnecessary questions. So
I actually considered it last night. So
you actually consider shaving everything?
Just
going?
leaving mustache.
No, don't do that.
So no. Me and Beth actually got into talking about the mustache competition, and she was like, "So after you're shaving everything, right? Because I normally keep the chin hair." And I was like, "Well, yeah, I'll have to shave the chin hair." And I was thinking about not doing it, and she was like, "No, you should." I was like, "You like the chin hair?" And she was like, "I haven't seen your chin." she was like, "I haven't seen your chin in a long time." And I was like, "Is that something you miss seeing?" She's like, "I don't know. I don't remember."
That's just her nice way of saying she wants it gone.
Yeah. That's a very nice way to put it.
So I have such a baby face, though.
I'm thinking I'm gonna do no shave November this year. I think I might give it a
if
shot.
you did our competition, you'd have a Jesus beard.
Well, because ours started October 14th and it goes to December 6th. So
wow.
it's more than just November.
Got some time in.
Could
Are you
shave-
gonna grow everything out there the entire time? All right.
So, but at the end,
Honestly, I don't think mine gets much longer than this.
No?
I know this will start to curl over onto the lip.
You can still
because
trim
I've done it
just
for a
above the
month
lip,
one
just-
time and it's annoying.
Yeah. Especially when you if you
Well,
like your lips a lot or.
as the day of the competition, it has to only be mustache, unless your mustache goes into something. He said if you had mutton chops and mustache goes into that, you
But
can
basically,
do
beard's not counted. For that.
No beards. So what inspired this mustache challenge? Just
Funny
the
story.
I feel like there's something.
I feel like we can tell it, right?
that. I would.
Should. Okay, so.
Well, is this? Can this be on air? Are we good?
I think it can
All
be.
right.
Everybody basically knows it anyway.
Okay.
I don't think Preston watches our podcast.
Oh, there we go.
That's
So
okay.
Preston,
Yes.
the youth pastor that, at our church we volunteer and help with him. What was it, the 18th or 19th?
No, it was the 14th of October.
14th.
It was later than that.
It was that Thursday.
The 14th wasn't a
I'm
Thursday.
gonna fact check this whole
so.
Anyway,
he got snipped.
Oh.
and
The
and
wife make him?
So he already has 3 kids.
Okay. Understandable.
And so there's as it starts, his wife will not have sex with him if he has a mustache, but he always likes having a mustache and messing around with it.
So it's kind of like
he can't anyway.
He
for,
figured because he just got snipped, he can't have
not
have
for
it
a while, right?
for a while anyway. So he was like, I'm gonna grow it out since you won't do
Bam!
it with me anyway. And then he decided to rope everybody else in, so that way it looks like a good cause.
Oh, okay.
And somehow he's donating money if enough people got it. I don't know if enough people got it, but the winner of the competition gets it's a real classy shaving kit.
Oh, nice.
It comes with the boar hair brush.
I didn't know any of that.
Fancy.
Mhm.
Well, how does one win this competition?
Well,
the kids in the youth group are judging.
Oh, who has the best mustache?
which is already so there's criteria you're supposed to like size, personality, fit, and style.
Okay.
So for me, I know I'm not gonna win size, but I got to get the points for style and
Are
personality.
you gonna do the curly cues at the end?
I don't know.
Mine curl.
much.
If mine
that?
can get, I will.
Yeah.
Because
Alright.
mine will start to curl. I don't know if it'll get that long.
I might actually go with something like dyeing it bright pink or something for the day.
Like the day of the end, you should. That'd be.
Because then I'm gonna shave it the next day anyway. Because
Yeah.
I hate my facial hair. I'm willing to let it go for a week, and then it starts.
I think it looks
just
good.
getting annoying.
But if you're not used to it when it's coming in, it'll definitely get really itchy, and then you're kind of just like, what's the point?
My neck gets itchy, which is what grows the fastest and
For
the
you.
thickest right here.
For sure.
Because I keep this, I normally trim this, and I keep it down.
Yeah, you
'Cause
got.
that was-
Are you growing everything out you can right now too, or what?
Yeah, because normally I just keep this trim. I mean, there was a time where I was growing it out real long.
Yeah, I remember.
And I stopped
You used
doing
to
that.
braid this down here.
I would be able to twist it. I used to twist it, and yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
But-
Beth loved that.
Oh no, she did.
Congratulations, by the way. I mean,
Oh.
we've been
Yeah, we
gone for a
probably
while.
haven't had one since
I don't
that.
think. Well, Dylan is officially off the market.
I am.
So
I got engaged.
yes,
in
congratulations.
I mean, they're not married yet, so we could
It's
argue.
still a long way to the altar, ladies.
That's okay.
so-
Beth doesn't watch this either. She's not gonna hear me say that.
No, but no,
She already
seriously,
bought a dress, so-
congratulations. So
Thank
it's pretty
you.
much not signed, sealed, and delivered. So
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
I just want to get that out for sure.
Thank you. Thank you guys.
So why till December 6th does this competition go till?
Because none of us could grow a mustache.
You guys
or a
like you guys all need some extra time, so let's just have some random arbitrary date in
Pretty
December.
much, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Because yeah, even that's not long enough for like the technical period of he'd be like allowed to have it, but it's still not. There's still the chance of it hasn't been long enough that like
I feel like
he
if
still
you
could
if you
have a kid or
had it
whatever.
by, oh okay, yeah, I see.
I think it's like he has to wait like 3 months still or something just to be safe. Like if you want to be
For
the
real?
safest possible.
You know
Well,
what?
there's
There's
only
this,
a month.
there's this football player. He's like
I've
so
never
many
been
kids.
snipped, so I don't know.
It's like a month.
But it's not always foolproof, you know. If you're snipped,
The
you-
was it Cromartie?
Cromartie, he has like 14 kids. But...
He's like had 5 cents. The
oh my gosh, I don't know. He had twins after he got snipped or something, from what I understood.
Luckily, he gets paid
So,
millions. of
well,
dollars.
yeah, but he also has like so many kids, like teens. Not even joking. So that's all.
All with the
all
same
going-
girl?
I
or
think
is
it
he
is
on child
14.
support?
No, it's like 14 kids with like 13 women or something.
No.
It's pretty.
He has
bad.
no money left.
That's pretty bad.
After that child support and alimony.
The only point is, even if you are snipped, you still have to cross your fingers, I guess. I don't know, but it is a lot safer for the men to be snipped than, the women go through so much, guys. If you can't snip yourself after the end, then
they already have to give birth to the baby.
Yeah.
I agree. But I was thinking, so, staying on the topic of podcast stuff, Rob Sandler, Rob Schneider. So Rob Schneider, I was
We
gonna say,
literally saw how you tied that together. That was
yeah.
kinda-
Anyway, Rob Schneider has a show on Netflix.
Okay.
It's called Real Rob, and it's pretty much like a fake version of his life.
Is that a new show?
I don't know, he's been around like a year.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, in it, he has to get snipped, and he has his assistant do it because he's scared.
What?
And they're going over all the
think they're
negatives of it,
qualified.
and it made me. This was the same time that Preston had it done, and it was like, oh, you have to be awake while it's being done, like.
Don't they numb you up or whatever?
Yeah, but like, so when I was talking to Preston, like, they numb you up and they literally just tear open your sack while you're awake, just sitting there, and
then
they're like
just clip
digging and
you?
doing stuff. Like, I don't know, and I was thinking, like, being awake, even if I'm numbed, I think I'd have a hard time staying calm.
Well,
Yeah, you probably don't feel it.
I mean,
though.
I'm thinking like I was awake. I got 4 total teeth pulled, with 2 of them being the top wisdom teeth, and I was awake for all those. And
But
I
they were
imagine,
good.
well, yeah, I mean they numb you up, and I imagine that in the end, the pressure and the digging around, because you feel it, like you
Yeah.
hear it through the bone. Like I
Do you-
imagine that's worse
Yeah.
than. I mean, that's
No, I hear you,
I don't
because
know.
But that's your balls. If they mess
Yes.
up, you can never ever use that.
Well, that's a reach, probably. You think, how would they mess up? These are professionals. I mean, obviously, in Rob Lowe's or Rob Schneider, like, I don't think an assistant would be
Well, no, and so
qualified.
it's a
But,
comedy show. It's a comedy show.
No,
so
I
that's
know, I
why-
get that. I'm
but-
just saying, like,
But it's like he was reading the things and it
isn't
says
it
like
pretty
memory.
quick? It's like a 10-minute procedure or
I
something.
don't know. It's really crazy that it only takes 10 minutes to.
All you gotta do is just snip something.
that seems like that's long if you really want to. Next, next.
That's quite the
like-
business. How much do they charge for this? Like, we can, no,
Thousands of dollars.
I'm not gonna be handling
no,
other men's
I
balls.
was joking.
But it was just, I don't know. I feel like I'd kind of have a panic knowing they're digging around down there.
Yeah. Well, you
And,
don't have to worry
if
about
they
that
mess
right
up,
now.
If they mess up, like, in the show, he
Like,
was
what were
reading,
some
like,
of the negatives?
it was like memory loss. You can never use it again. Like some weird stuff. And like and I was just thinking, yeah. And I don't know how that.
I don't
works.
believe that one.
That
at
one
all.
seemed like
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
I don't know, but
That sounds funny.
still, just the idea of someone
Can't
digging
use
around
it.
in my sack with.
I think. I mean, this goes to a like
You're just
larger
very attached to
extreme.
your balls.
I'm
But I
very
think-
attached to my balls.
Yeah.
I've known them my entire life.
Yeah.
I think one of the like I don't know if it's necessarily irrational. I guess it kind of is because it's a super rare thing. But like, if there's people who get like major surgeries, and all the like anesthesia knocks them out, but it doesn't numb the pain or something, so they feel it the whole time.
Yeah, but they're not like,
and like they can't do anything about it. And like that to me is freaky.
What? Why you gotta tell me that shit?
No, that can really happen. It's like very rare though. It's like
I know
one
you
out of
can,
every
like,
like
wake
200,000 cases where like you're aware of everything going on, but you're like paralyzed and you can feel it
Can
all.
you not talk?
No,
Or make any
no, but you
noise?
can hear everything that's going on. You can hear the doctors talking as they're doing their operation, and yeah, it's supposed to be extremely rare, but that idea is freaky.
The only thing I can hope at that point is you feel it and then you pass out from the shock of that.
Yeah,
and then
if you could somehow induce your own shock and then just
How would
pass
that
out.
happen? I'm curious how the chemistry of that is. Like,
Well, everybody's different too, though. Like even with certain like pharmaceutical drugs, not everybody responds the same way, and there's different side effects. So maybe when somebody has some biological
that's why,
chemistry
like,
and they undergo anesthesia.
obviously in cases like that, who knows what it is? Somehow, like
But it's
the
so
brain
rare.
is
How would you
not
isolate
blocking it
what
or
it
whatever. But that's why anesthesiologists are like so well paid, is because
Oh, yeah.
each person is like a different. You got to make sure you get the right amount, because otherwise,
Everything
they
could be
wake up
deadly.
early, or
Yeah.
it doesn't do it enough.
Oh my
What
goodness!
do you think
Imagine
that does
waking
to
up
that- yeah.
early and you're like in the middle of
Obviously
like
that
an
happens.
open heart surgery.
what
or
do you
something.
think like that anesthesiologist feels though? Like that one case where they were awake and felt it the whole time because they're the one that put them under. Like you have to feel like there's some sort of like.
I mean, I'm sure they feel bad, but at the same time, to me, that sounds more like
It's a special
some
case
kind
by
of mental
case.
thing that happened with the patient, as opposed to an improper use of the.
Yeah, I still
Yeah,
feel like if
because
I was in that
they know
job,
what they're
that'd mess
doing.
with me a little
They
bit.
know what they're doing.
knowing
Well,
that.
yeah, of course, but I mean that goes with any like job almost in the medical field. I mean, sometimes your patients just they might not make it, so you will deal with death at times, and it's how you handle it. But yeah,
I forgot to mention that part of getting snipped could die.
that was a side effect too. Could die,
Bleed out.
bleed out from
Or
the,
complete
from the
castration.
What? Okay,
Sorry, we accidentally took it all.
sorry, we took the whole thing. The whole. How do you mess that up?
I don't know. I don't
He
know.
sneezed always.
Oh
Oh jeez.
You wanted to be a eunuch, right?
Man,
Uh,
this is a great start to our Halloween episode. We're talking about some pretty horrific
I
stuff.
mean, that's
here.
probably like some slasher stuff
yeah,
there, right?
yeah.
Dude,
Nothing like
speaking
getting
of that, and
castrated.
Halloween, so I saw the Hateful Eight. Did you guys remember that show? It was a Tarantino film.
I know what you're referencing. I didn't see it.
So it just reminds me because in one of it, Channing Tatum's like hiding under the floors and Samuel Jackson's sitting there, and Tatum goes, "Say goodbye to your balls," and shoots up and blows Samuel Jackson's balls off. Like it's in the
my
movie. He just
gosh.
shoots up. And then that got me thinking, the previous night I was thinking about getting snipped, and the next night I was like, man, what if your balls got shot off, like, after that? And I was like, dang.
That happened in the town too.
Did it?
Ben Affleck at the end when he kills the florist.
I don't remember that.
And in 22 Jump Street or 21 Jump Street, just shooting the dick off.
Oh, that was hilarious.
It turned
Wait,
it
no,
into
that
a
wasn't.
vagina.
Well,
That
yeah,
was
it's
the heat.
No, it's
No, no,
21
it's
because
21.
Oh, they did it in the heat too,
That
though.
might
Yeah,
happen.
he does do it on heat. But yeah, so
That's funny. Yeah.
Getting shot in the
Yeah.
balls.
Anything just around there, let's avoid. You know. It's always hard enough when you're just playing sports and you get hit there. You're like, ah. Wait a minute.
Yeah, that my soccer game.
Even in MMA, like where they're paid to try to basically
not
just
allowed
knock
to.
the other person. If you hit them in the junk, they're gonna give you some time. They're like, you take a minute. You can get slapped around the face and get your head bashed in, but whoa, easy. That's my penis.
No, wait. Alright. So I was saying, like, we're talking about this in baseball. Even with a cup, I still feel like a solid hit from a baseball right in the cup would hurt.
I mean, as someone who
yeah.
played baseball, granted, I stopped after Little League, but I never played catcher, which I think is probably the one you're gonna get the hardest. But I remember playing like infield and taking a bad hop.
Oh, really?
But
Oh.
it's one of those because of the way that the cup is, you don't like. Your junk itself is fine, but it gets like all the tendons and stuff like right in your legs because
Oh,
it's like
geez.
pushing straight in.
It's
Yeah.
kind of crazy that you can get hit in the balls hard enough to where like
It hurts your stomach.
It hurts your stomach,
feel
like
it,
you
like,
almost
ugh.
lose your breath. It's like
Yeah, you feel it in there. Then
your body just shuts down. It's like I don't know what to do. Just we're dead.
Nope.
We're dead.
I'm out.
It's kind of like
Everything shut down.
That's why everybody kills over after they get hit there. It's
Oh,
like if you
dude.
want to the joke is if you want to shrink somebody like 4 feet, just hit them in the junk and they'll be like, oh.
I had that soccer
So-
game last week. Someone went to kick the ball and I was defending. They missed the ball completely and just boom.
What a rookie. They were,
Hit me,
they were
I
just
know.
trying to do that on purpose.
Dude.
Missed the ball.
Missed the
Oh,
ball.
I was-
hit
They got
some
the balls they were
balls.
Oh
Man, this has
yeah.
been a really ball and penis heavy podcast so far.
Well, it's okay. We're just getting
Balls-
started, guys.
balls
We're
have
making
been
up
on
for
my
lost time.
Balls have been on my mind. I don't
Balls
know.
of Fury.
Well,
Maybe it's I know
you
I'm
should tell
getting-
Beth something.
Well, I think it's because I know I'm getting married and I know one day I'll have kids and one day I'll eventually have to get snipped. So I'm just
Dude, that is
prematurely
such a long
thinking
way
about
to
it. I know.
My thought was more he's getting married, so she's gonna own his balls.
Ooh, true. That's probably more
Dude,
like.
I'm not even married and she owns my balls.
Yeah,
What are you
that's
talking
true.
about?
Like those are already.
He
hidden.
spends very few days at our house at this point.
I know. I've heard. Sad
Yeah.
days.
Well, we
The
have.
prodigal roommate sometimes is there.
She has the 3-year-old, so I stay over to help her with it.
I act like a 3-year-old.
That is
Yeah,
true.
well, you gotta
Since I can
train.
bitch
That's-
slap you, I can't bitch slap the actual 3-year-old.
Oh man. So, Stranger Things that just came out.
Yes. So you haven't seen
I
it.
haven't. But
It
I've
came
seen
out
the first
yesterday
season.
because
Yeah.
we are filming this on Saturday.
yeah.
So it came out yesterday. Both of us binge watched the
I heard
entire
it,
thing
I heard
yesterday.
it.
I mean, it's
So-
9. It's only 9 episodes.
Is it only 9?
But they're also an hour long.
Yeah.
So
You guys
was
impressive.
worth it.
You guys
It was-
cranked it out.
I had my 2 Snapchat stories were like at 9:45 in the morning was all I'm doing all day, and it was a picture straight of things, and then like 5:15 or whatever it was. I wasn't kidding, and it was the credits of the last one.
He
Nice.
says that, but I was even worse. I started watching at 1 in the morning when it officially started on Netflix. So, and I
On
watched like
Netflix?
the first, I think, 5 or 6 episodes, and then like I took a
Took
nap.
a break.
I
Took
took
a
a
nap.
nap.
Started.
So I'm
And
the
then-
real fan though because I watched all of it. I
through
didn't
and
take a
through.
break.
Yeah, he didn't.
Well, I did, but I had a 3-year-old wake up, and Beth told me that was
You gonna
inappropriate
let that
for a
stop you?
3-year-old.
You gonna let that
Yeah,
stop
I
you?
did.
No, I'm
I
just
did.
kidding. Smart food. Move, I guess.
So, yeah,
I mean-
but it was good. I really liked it. I
yeah,
thought it
initial
was.
thoughts.
We are being
opinions.
spoiler free
Without-
because you haven't
right,
seen it.
and I will watch it very soon.
Just like you'll
So-
watch Dollhouse,
Well, that got canceled, man.
but it's on Netflix.
Is it
so.
still though? Because they
Yeah.
shift every. Like, here's one. We'll talk about Stranger Things real quick, but if you guys love Hymen, I know we've talked about it before. It's actually leaving Netflix November 13th. So
Important.
Fine.
if you guys love Hymen, you only have 2 weeks to watch.
That will be
it.
How I Met Your Mother for you who are not culturally
Yes,
savvy.
yes. Thank you, because yeah, I would have.
We're not talking about genitalia again.
I know we were on genitalia earlier. So, initial thoughts with the Stranger Things season 2. Obviously spoiler free, but you guys
Well-
can discuss characters and developments and stuff.
Barb's actually alive.
That's a spoiler, bro.
It's
Come
also
on.
not true.
Or
that
is
a
it?
spoiler?
Okay, well here.
I mean, we saw her dead body, so we know it's not a spoiler.
I
No.
do know that there is allegedly justice for Barb in some
Yeah,
sense.
so that's the first episode.
You get that
They
right
they
away.
address the fact that they kind of glossed over her
They
death.
totally did.
Well, I
Um,
mean, I think
And I think that was fair for the first season, but in this we actually see
Okay, just real quick too. Does the start of the second season take place immediately after the end of the
Almost
first one, or is
so.
there a gap?
well, so the other one ended in like Christmas, and this
Yeah.
is like right before.
this
Halloween.
is I think starts on the 28th or the 29th.
Oh,
That's
okay.
why they
So
released it when
there's
they did.
a few months. There.
because the last one was the first season only lasted
The
a
second
week.
episode is set on Halloween Day.
Oh wow.
So-
okay.
Is it the second episode? Really? Wow. Yeah, them being an hour, it was nice, but it kind of messes your timeline. But because the first season took place in a week, right? It was a week.
This one
long,
pretty much takes a week.
and this
too.
was a week too.
Yeah.
that's what I was
Okay.
saying. And then it kind of at the end, it does
more
a
or
little,
less. It's
it does a little.
probably like maybe 2 weeks. but-
Because didn't we start in Winter Ball or something? In
Oh
the
yeah, I
last
guess
season?
technically the last episode does get to like winter,
Yeah, it seems
but
like
that's
it
kind of a
was
jump after. Like they seem to resolve most of the stuff
in the.
more in like by early November, and it kind of
Okay,
jumps. I think.
okay.
But yeah, so this one's roughly almost a year. I mean,
Yeah. Well,
Kinda
and,
like-
and so to
They're a
kind of
little
go back
older.
yeah,
again,
yeah.
this is first episode, very very early stuff. They do address the fact that Barb has died and that it was kind of covered up.
Yeah.
Because her parents, we're introduced to them, and they don't believe that they think she's still alive and is just like
missing-
hiding because
missing
that's what they've
kid
been
thing,
told.
Yeah.
And so you see like part of the struggle for Nancy at least is that she knows Barb is dead.
She knows a lot more about what's going on.
Because they're like selling their house and stuff to hire a private investigator.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
So
they're just, oh man.
And then like even.
What's your kid though?
Yeah, I mean, and it's kind of cool. Like I know you had said that Mike was kind of annoying, but in the first little bit, but
he starts off very whiny. That's for sure.
And I kind of agree with it because he's still coping and having a hard time with Elle being gone. So that emotion and stuff like is very much still alive in there for him.
For sure.
I think overall, I liked it. I think I liked the first season better because and it's hard because I haven't rewatched the first one in 2 years or whatever when I first watched it. But the first season was good enough that I sat down and I binged all that in one day as well. But like I didn't know anything about it going in and got hooked on the first one and watched it.
Yeah, it was good.
This one, it was kind of like I already was intending to do that, so.
Right.
It didn't have that initial hook. You were already kind of.
It didn't have as much pace necessarily in the start.
It's definitely a slow build.
Okay.
And there was one episode that, so I think 11's story overall is very slow.
But it's very good. I feel like a lot of it's
good, but there's so much that we don't know.
It's a lot of her learning about herself.
And
almost about the world too. And
they're completely different things.
But there's one episode that focuses entirely on her and like her quest, and it
kind of
sucks. It sucks.
It kind of tells the story.
I think you can say it sucks, but I think overall it builds sort of the character in the end, which I love. And
yeah, but that doesn't mean that episode doesn't suck.
No. What I'm saying though is I think the redeeming factor is it may have been like a crappier episode.
You just don't feel like there's
the
a payoff
outcome
in that episode.
Yeah, but the outcome of what happens through the episode and like that is like great for a character, and I liked how the outcome was.
Yeah,
like what
for sure.
I like why she went through it. I didn't necessarily think like it needed to be a whole episode longer. They had to do that, but I do think it was worth that kind of crappy episode to get her to where she needed to be. Because then after that, I was like, bam, like, and her character's just so much stronger, and she kind of at the end of that, she almost figures out like, this is who I care about. This is like. So it takes her, like, she comes up with all these conclusions and is like, this is what I'm...
Just a lot of character growth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what I was going to say. In this season, I feel like we get... Which is kind of weird to say, we get a lot of character growth. Which is like, you have a whole season...
All of them?
Yeah, and it's like, you had a whole last season where you felt like there's character growth. And they do even more now.
And
it's so
it was
good.
one of those things where it did... The season actually did feel like the natural progression of the story, as opposed to a lot of times where it's kind of like this, we'll leave it up in the air, hopefully get something, oh crap, we didn't actually have a plan, like...
Oh, I hate shows like that.
Yeah.
We were just talking.
Think
that's
we'll touch on that too.
Yeah.
There's two characters that I felt were kind of unnecessary, so like, there's a new girl named Max who becomes friends with the guys. And then her older brother who's like super douchey and is like basically having some beef with Steve like the whole time.
Well, I think he's kind of in... I know this because I was watching like how they have like The Talking Dead. They kind of have something after the season.
Oh, I heard that Netflix introduced that.
Yeah, and it's
is it
really
already
cool.
on there?
Yeah, it's on there.
Okay.
Like you watch it as soon as you're done.
Yeah.
And I've been watching them. And the reason they did that is because they felt like they didn't just want the Upside Down to be like the only bad guy, because like that can only deal with so many at a time.
That's like its own realm.
Yeah, too. And like really Will has a connection to it, and all of them can't be affected. So they brought in kind of like a human bad guy.
Which I would say that they didn't do a good job if that was there.
Of the human
antagonist. See, I think they did, because I feel like you hate the dude enough, and he does enough to where I'm irritated.
No.
I think it's more essential to Max's growth.
But that's just one.
But again, I don't see her as like a necessary character.
Yeah,
she
didn't. You did say that she was on it. Yeah.
Even though I liked her character overall, and I think she fits well with them, the same story could have been told without her. She is not a necessary.
I thought it was necessary to bring her character in, and I liked her character.
What do you get out of it?
It's pretty much her growth, and he actually though he creates a lot of conflict with Steve too.
Okay, but she's initially brought in as a friend of the guys?
So you said she was a necessary character, and then all you said was it was the storyline was essential to her growth, that doesn't mean.
But that's
make
what
her-
I'm asking.
No,
Like,
I meant,
what do you-
I meant
as the audience,
her
what do you get
character
out of it?
isn't necessary, but I think for her he is necessary for her character to grow.
Well, yeah,
So, and I think that's why I like.
but that's what I'm
them
saying. You don't
throwing
need
her.
either of them.
Yeah, but I like her. What I'm saying is I like her.
Yeah, as a writer, you can introduce other.
Yeah,
like
and
a
so
device
to
or anything
introduce
to
her-
Once again, we're having an argument that I'm not disagreeing with.
No,
him.
I'm not,
I
but
agree
no, you
that she's
asked-
a good character. I just think she's not
guys
necessary.
are both wrong.
Yeah.
No, I'm just
And
kidding.
as a result,
Yeah.
he is necessary to her story,
Right.
but neither of them bring a ton to the second season. Now, going forward, I'm sure there will be more
yeah.
because of course, naturally, a big part of it is her trying to fit in with them and them trying to accept her without bringing her totally into everything that's happened in the first season.
I absolutely
Yeah, so
get
there's
that,
a bunch
yeah.
of conflict and
Of
other
course.
stuff. And I also feel
So
like
she's kind of left out with certain
And-
things in the.
yeah.
the
And I
knowledge
think
of
like so
everything.
here with and I don't even remember the brother's name, but he had a lot of
Douche nozzle.
he had a lot
you
of
go.
conflict with Steve, and I think
How dare he?
how that storyline went, they needed something other than the girl for Steve's character, and I think that's where he kind of.
But do you feel that he actually progressed from that? Because we know what happens there.
Yeah,
I don't
and
wanna
I
give too much away, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would say Steve does
Uh-oh.
not progress.
Uh-oh.
From
no,
that.
he
They're
does not
alluding to
progress.
something.
But I think it kind of helped level
If
Steve.
you think I'm alluding
No,
to a
I'm
death,
just-
it's
I'm
not.
just making jokes.
I do think it kind of helped Steve become more level-headed because I think Steve was on this thing of like, I run this place, like I'm as cool as it gets, I'm the great, like kind of, and I know like he kind of like in the last season gets a heart and you see a more sensitive side, but I do think it was kind of put in that way they can pull his conflict away between him and the girl and have like some other conflict, which I can respect more because I hate the whole couples drama constantly throughout like seasons.
Oh, they have a drama?
So no, I'm saying like if they're like if it that was the only conflict
right.
for
Well-
him, so this gave him other conflict. That way, it's not just with the girl.
I feel like I guess, like I don't disagree that that's why he's in here, but I think overall it just seemed like they weren't sure what to do with Steve because he was a minor character in the first place, and they have so many characters. It's like, how do you involve
do have a
everybody
lot,
in
yeah.
this story? And honestly, this doesn't really spoil anything. He's not an essential part of this one either.
Right.
No, I mean he kind of
They probably, like you said, they probably introduced both of those characters to bring them in more
A little
moving
bit, yeah.
forward. Not necessarily.
Well, because there's
key to this
definitely
season
set up for a third season. It's not quite to the same
degree as the end of the first
level as the first one, because I think they tied the way they at least tied up the second season. I'm not sure how they're going to do a third season, but it's clear that they have plans.
Yeah.
So,
Dylan and I were discussing
yeah,
this.
and,
I think
they
had plans
said
for
originally four,
Yeah,
but
but
at this point, if they
It
can
might
keep
be
going,
up in the air. How
I-
long they'll go.
the brothers, the Tough
Well-
brothers, were talking. They didn't want to drag this out,
and that's
and
what
ruin it.
that would be my guess is.
Yeah, but
with-
people love it though.
Even well, but that's the thing is there's a certain point where you can, and I
there are
think Walking
shows.
Dead hit that a long
Yeah,
time
we
ago,
were talking
where you
about
can
that.
only do so much with the same premise and
Kinda
just
what
keep
feels like
reusing
with,
it. Where
Big Bang too. It's
but
like some
well,
of these
yeah, I
shows,
mean that's with
it's
a
like-
lot of sitcoms.
Yeah,
It's,
for sure.
Oh,
Sitcoms
well,
are harder, but like
know.
Walking Dead definitely hits.
Well, and
you
we're
can only
talking-
do so much of the same storyline before it starts to get old, and so I think Breaking Bad did this well, even though we've been over. I think it's an overrated show. I think they did a good job of ending it when they did because they
Right.
didn't keep going. Okay, well, who's the next guy? The
Who's the
gonna win?
next?
Who's
guy
the
we have to try-
next? Who's the
yeah,
next?
That's
and
it's hard
because
to do.
I'm sure people would have kept watching, they could have made a lot of money. But in
But
terms of story, it starts to suffer
hurts
if
the
you
product,
keep
yeah.
the same thing over and over and over. And that's where I think with the way that they did Stranger Things season 2 is it uses the same elements but in a new way, and it doesn't feel
forced at
Forced
all.
or
It flows
overused.
very, very well.
Still some of the same themes, but just good natural progression of flow.
And I think like the next season is going to be really how they prove it. Like if it's just like the organization again, like I feel like they can't keep bringing the organization, just putting new leader heads kind of thing.
well, that's kind of how.
Yeah,
Well,
and
and
so they have stuff
But
in
they didn't
place.
even
to
close
kind
that
of-
off necessarily from the first.
Exactly.
Season.
There's
So
also-
is why it kind of worked.
And then
in this
at the
one.
end of the first season, we have Will. He throws up the slug kind of from the upside down. So we're still, you're dealing with the organization at the same time, but now we're also having certain elements of the Upside Down brought in with his visions.
Yeah, and kind of what I was telling you, I feel like what they did good is in the end of the last one, there were a lot of questions too that you could answer. And so the second one, I think, it did really good at answering those questions, making it flow real well. Mm-hmm. I really think going into a third season at this point, I don't feel like there's a whole lot of questions or things that need explanation because we kind of
where
know.
Do you go next?
Yeah, and it's because at this point, like we have 2 seasons and our knowledge is more of everything.
Well, and the way that they tie it off to feels like if they had wanted to, this could have been the last season. Like, not to say.
Yeah, no,
I don't want to. I don't want to say that they like.
There's just enough left open that
there's
kind of.
There's still conflict that is
unresolved,
present and unresolved, but the way that it has been resolved on our characters' end seems like it could end right now if they wanted to.
I will say, kind of talking about that ending. I don't know about you, and I haven't talked to this. I personally love how they ended it. I thought it was a really good ending, like for the characters and how things were done. I really enjoyed, and I think it's rare these days, especially with shows. They normally end on like or even with movies when there's gonna be another movie. It's like this big, like, oh, we're clearly setting something up. I felt like their ending was still very emotional for the characters. Both
seasons, I think, did that well. They still set up and had some kind of cliffhanger-ish thing to whet your appetite for something future.
But there was still resolution.
But it wasn't. Yeah, it didn't feel like, oh, we just ended a season like in a halfway point to try to continue.
Yeah, because I feel like the end of season 1. Because I don't know the end of season 2 yet, but the end of season 1 definitely had some sort of unresolved conflict, especially with him being back. But obviously, there's something very clearly like
a resolution, but then there's still those like questions and hints towards what's next, and that's how they do it here. It's a resolution and ties stuff together in a good emotional way, but there's still the questions of how does it go forward.
I thought it was really good, and I will say, me personally, I don't know who your favorite character was this season, but I definitely Dustin just took it away from me. Like, yeah, and I was telling you about that.
You
like,
were telling
he, I don't know. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was the writing or just the actor, but I think like it just his character was really.
His character is funny.
It's interesting because like the first season is very much centered around, I would say, Mike.
Yeah.
He's like the main character. I would say he actually takes a secondary character role in this one, and it focuses more on Lucas and Dustin. I think Dustin maybe a little bit more than Lucas.
Yeah.
So it's almost as if this is Dustin's season because a lot of the conflict comes around him.
It's kind of cool. Like I
mean, there's still multiple storylines.
And I still like Will still has like his whole thing, but I just
Will's got
feel
some issues. I was reading some theories, but
yeah, and it's I do like what they did with Will, because I was really curious like how's Will gonna fit in. I like how they did it actually, and I like Will's mom kind of had to make some progression and.
Like how do you move forward? Especially knowing everything your kid went through, then
and again,
they're dealing with
that's something that they did well
at that point.
In the first episode is they showed that it doesn't just like end like
It's not like
he's meeting with like a psychiatrist.
Oh, good. Yeah, because that's such a
and the mom's having a hard time like giving space. So and then but the mom has to have some because of events. There are things where she almost has to be such a mama bear that she has to let things happen to Will. And I thought that was like crazy progression for her, and she's forced to almost do stuff like that, which is like total awesome.
I mean, at the beginning, she was already a little bit like maybe like helicopter parent in the first season as it was, and then he disappears.
Is that even more?
And now it's like again, she is struggling with. I want my kid to grow and progress, and I want to give him space, but at the same time, the last time I gave him too much space, he disappeared.
Yeah.
So.
And I will say, and tiny spoiler, tiny, not gonna give anything away. I will say, Sean Austin is in this season. So
that's not
Sean
a spoiler
Austin.
at all. Everyone knew that.
I could have IMDb'd that.
Yeah, but anyway,
they also
I'm not
showed
gonna...
him in the trailers.
Oh, did I didn't remember. But I'm not gonna really say what his character does. But I really liked the emotion he brought to everything, and I like there's the one part. Remember when he's kind of giving Will advice and how normally that would be like the best advice ever, but like in this certain case, like because of his lack of knowledge, it's like literally the worst
advice.
That does
nothing for me.
So it's so good though, like the character, how they brought him in. I think he did such a good job at instantly just making you love the character. And they do like, I was actually... Like,
I don't know that I instantly loved him, but I'd say by the halfway point, you're
Yeah,
like,
you're
okay,
like,
I'm cool
oh,
with
okay,
this.
he's
Yeah.
cool. So, and like I said, I feel like every storyline does really good. And so this is when we bring our Walking Dead conversation. We're talking like with Walking Dead, it gets slow and it gets hard. And I was saying how this season has slow moments, but I don't think they're hard slow moments. Like, there's slow moments
they're
developing
slow and you're
things.
actually building towards
Yeah.
something bigger that's going to have a really good payoff for the audience. Like, I think, like with Game of Thrones, we were talking about
Yeah,
how
it
there's a
does.
lot of characters, there's a lot of subplots, and it's great how some of the slower episodes kind of feel that they're building towards something. And that was one of my main critiques with Walking Dead is, you know, you have a lot of characters, a lot of slow parts, but I feel like
They
don't,
went
there's
through
no
seasons where
There's a
there's
lot
no
of times where
hook.
it doesn't seem to pay off.
Yeah,
yeah,
and
and
this
at that point,
season,
I'm just not
That's why they
interested.
lost me.
Yeah,
They lost
it-
me
didn't
too.
care.
They
And
lost
I
me
will
too.
say, like, in Stranger Things, I think season 2 is a slower pace than the first one. I think there are episodes that are slower, but it's still really good. And like I said, they use the emotion. They know their characters have emotional value and emotional growth to do. And I think they do that very well, even on their slow episodes. You're still intrigued because there's just so much going on with these characters. And the character development is so good. Like, it's written really well.
I think one thing we really got to give Netflix like a round of applause for is discovering the talent of these
kids.
child
Those
actors,
kids, yeah.
and because
Yeah.
not just the original 4, but also the
Bringing
new
in
girl
new
that they
ones.
bring in, and then we've seen the guy who plays Mike go on, and he's in It, and like
Yeah, that's
yeah,
right.
just
know.
great character development.
I read the other day that Netflix is gonna produce like 80 original movies next year. Wow. So just some of the
want more debt.
well, they're just killing it.
They
like
have to be bringing
Hollywood,
in
But that's the
money, though.
thing.
Hollywood's sinking, and
I
Netflix
think the
is
things that
bringing
they
on
are
everything.
killing it at are they're like really
original
good,
stuff,
But
but
there's so much stuff that they also are putting out that I think is not doing well, and that's what we're just not hearing about it because it's not good.
Which,
Like
in all
what stuff?
honesty,
Do you have
but I like.
I don't know, but they put out new stuff like literally every week.
No, they do. Yeah.
And you
That
hear
thing is-
about the Marvel stuff, and you hear about Stranger Things. But even like The Ranch, we like The Ranch, but I haven't really heard any critical acclaim for it.
Right.
But that's, I mean,
Well, here's the thing with Netflix too is like even their hit shows, they
Also,
hide the
they
numbers.
put out the Adam Sandler movies; those are terrible.
Yeah, well, that was. Yeah, I'm not a huge Adam Sandler
I'm not
fan.
either.
I feel like. Well, I like some of his movies, but
his older stuff is a lot
like
better.
his more recent stuff has been very hit or miss.
Mostly miss.
But Netflix they hide their numbers essentially, like on what does well and what doesn't do well, and they even do that with their comics when they're like issuing new deals and like having new specials out. So
I will say though,
they play everything
I mean,
very close to the vest.
Just about any original Netflix series I've watched, I've liked.
Yeah, we were discussing American Vandal. Have you heard about that one?
I've heard
We're talking about
it.
dicks
Or,
again.
I told him.
Hashtag who drew the dicks.
The other one
Yeah.
I've heard that
That one's a
people
really
like
funny
is
one, though.
Ozarka.
I
Is
love
that what it is?
Ozark.
Ozark, and I started
Love
watching
Ozark.
that,
couldn't
and it's
remember
it.
freaking
Love
great.
Ozark, yeah.
And I feel like that's the thing though, is a lot of these Netflix series aren't getting a whole lot of talk, but once you actually watch them, they're actually really good.
Yeah, and they're actually cleaning up at the awards, like the Emmys and stuff.
Because that
So-
American Vandal was, it's amazing.
Just
It's a
got greenlit for a
mockumentary
second
kind of show.
season. It's basically centered around some student allegedly paints all these penises on all the staff parking lot at the high school. So the whole thing is like a documentary. It's a mockumentary. It's very comedic about like who drew it, and
They blamed it on the one kid who's like the
who's
school
known for like
prankster.
drawing, yeah, like
And so this
kind of the class clown.
yeah, and the
Who's named
kind
Dylan.
of the nerdy kids that run like the morning show are doing like
The
their
documentary.
Yeah,
Their own
they're doing the
documentary,
documentary,
like,
and
investigation.
they're investigating it. So it's set up like a serious tone.
Oh, it's so funny.
And so
though.
they're trying to not necessarily clear the dude's name, but figure out who actually did it. And so at one point, like, this one kid, like, talks about, like, being jerked off by, like, the hottest girl in school, and he's,
But
like,
they were
the
trying to see if
nerdiest kid in
his story
school.
and his testimony was accurate or if he's just lying.
So they go all the way up to the woods at the camp where they were at. They go to the location where he claimed it happened. They're like, so this is where the supposed
like,
hand
what
job
line
happened.
of sight can people
what line of
see?
sight? Where could we get
Is
stuff?
this
So
accurate?
Yeah, and so it's like as like they're like crime fighters, and then like they get evidence. They're like, look at the main kid guy who got blamed. His name's Dylan. They're like, look at every ball or every dick Dylan draws. There's hair on it, but the ones on the cards have no hair. So they go to Dylan. They're like, this is such big news. They go to Dylan. They're like, look it. And they're like, what's the difference between your balls and the balls on the cards? He's like, no hair, dude. He's like, that's my signature. You can't forget the hair. And so, like, then that's,
really
like, their
silly.
big evidence they take to a teacher. And the teacher's like, what? Like, so it's just, it's set in, like, an extremely serious tone, but it's completely,
It's
like,
so
made
funny,
to be comical.
though. It's so funny.
So it's like it was
That's
great.
a quick one to burn through. That's a Netflix original too.
Yeah, it's
so.
there's not that many episodes. So
I mean, this isn't a Netflix original, but both of us watched The Good Place.
The Good Place.
Because I think the second season might have just started airing wherever they show it.
And it's pretty funny.
But the first season was good.
What's it on?
I don't know what it's on, honestly.
I bet your wife has access to my Hulu. I bet you it's on Hulu.
She does. We got access.
Well, but it's one of the creator of that is one of the creators of Parks and Rec. So.
Oh, okay.
It's pretty fun.
It's called The Good Place?
Yeah, and Kristen Bell is
I love her. Is she in it?
Huh?
She in it? Or
Yeah,
what?
she's the main character. So, and
the premise is she goes... She dies, and she goes to the good place, but then learns that she has taken the place of someone else who's supposed to
be in the good place,
no.
so she's supposed to be in the bad place. So the whole thing is her trying to hide the fact that she's not this goody two shoes like everyone else in the good place. And like it's so funny because like you're not allowed to cuss in there, but she tries to cuss. So every time she tries to say fuck, it says fork. Like so she's like fork, and she's like, this is forking ridiculous. Forking, stop it! Like. So, and then every time she tries to cuss, like, they're just random words, and it's so funny, like, but it's really good, like, I think family kind of humor, and it's just done really well.
That's good. Season 2 just started?
I think so, yeah.
I think so, yeah. And like, again, because of who created it, like, Adam Scott has a small role in it.
He's a good guy.
His role's pretty funny.
I'm trying to remember who else is in there. There's...
It's the dude.
The guy who plays
Cheers.
the judge is always in that kind of stuff, but I can't think of who his name is.
And Parks and Rec.
No, the judge in The Good Place, Judge Sean. He's in a bunch of stuff. He's in Parks and Rec at some point, but
I can't remember.
Yeah,
but there's I don't know. It's good. It's a good little comedy. But I do think like Netflix just I don't know. They do a lot of things right.
Oh, they are.
Well, and
making a lot of
I will say, like, with the Stranger Things and just with how Netflix does it, I love how they drop an entire season just at once.
I heard a rumor that they were going to change that at one point. I really hope they don't.
No,
I don't think they will, but I know that was discussed at some point.
I think that they realized that part of the reason people like that is because, you can sit down and just binge watch all of season 2 and then talk about it.
Exactly, yeah.
Instead of, like, wait.
Well, it's easier, too, though.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
I almost prefer that form. Instead of like waiting and watching on regular like cable where you have to wait a week after you watch an episode.
Well, and because that does change. Like, I was watching The Office, weekly, starting in maybe season 6 or something. Okay. And so those last 2 seasons, which are just not great.
The best.
They're even worse when you're having to wait.
Weekly.
When it's like, oh, that was a terrible episode. Now I have to wait a week. When I went through and rewatched them and could just binge them together, I was like. They still weren't great compared to the others, but it's a lot more bearable when it's just like, oh, here's a terrible episode, continue to the next one. And I think that's always the case is you have a terrible episode, you can just go, ooh, okay, that was bad, let me just go to the next one.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I love that
as opposed
model.
to being stuck for a week with like this crap.
Yeah, because that resonates a lot longer.
Yeah.
Like, if you can binge watch one that you don't like as much, just power through to the next.
Well, just imagine too when Stranger Things season 2 dropped. Imagine how many people were shipping Netflix for that entire day.
I wonder.
I bet a lot of people.
I would love. I wonder if they've got like statistics of how many people watched at least 1 or 2 episodes or something that first day that it came out. Like,
I imagine a vast majority of people because it's set up so that you finish the next one 5 seconds from now we're gonna start.
That's the thing is they don't. Usually it's 20 seconds. Too.
You know what's really annoying is when you get like 4 in and then they're like, "Are you still watching?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm freaking watching."
I love it now because you can skip recaps and
skip
intros
too.
Yeah, skipping intros is great. Especially
if you don't like.
Even if it's like a 10-second. Like
intro songs.
I like Stranger Things intros, but I'll admit I was skipping them just because it's like I want to just keep going with the story.
Well, and it's like when you're sitting down watching it all day, you don't need to watch the intro.
Yeah, or else you're hearing the same thing every.
Yeah, it's like
5 minutes.
Well, and like oh gosh, what was I supposed to say? I think just in general, like, we are going to soon have some kind of era where, like, network TV and the, like, big Hollywood studios are going to start. I mean, I think they've already started losing their power, but I think we're going to start getting more and more because, like, like Thursday Night Football this year is being streamed on Amazon Prime.
Last year it was on Twitter. And
which I liked because I have Twitter and not Amazon Prime right now.
It is on CBS now, the Thursday Night Football, which it wasn't last
year.
But
can you stream that? Because I think their streaming has to have their all access thing.
I think you're right.
I think that's the
I think
problem
you're
I
right.
was
So
under too.
no, you can't. Then.
The baseball postseason is being streamed on YouTube TV.
Really? Huh.
And Fox.
Well, of course,
TBS. But yeah, they're doing it through YouTube right now.
And your Dodgers in the World Series. No, it's still early. It's game 4.
They're down 2-1 right now.
Yeah. Do you know who's pitching tonight?
Tonight would be. I don't know.
Kershaw's for game 5.
Yeah. So tonight is Wood.
Alex Wood. Okay, yeah. Darvish really killed it last night.
You mean got killed?
That's what I mean. Like he killed his lineup for him.
Dude, it is so frustrating because
like an inning.
Well, because Kenley Jansen hadn't he'd blown one save all season, and he blows the save against the Dodgers were beating Justin Verlander 3-1.
That game 2, I know.
He blows it, and then it somehow turns into 7-6 game, which is crazy game.
Yeah.
But the problem is because they split that, the Dodgers up until that game, neither team had lost a home game during the postseason, and Houston still hasn't because the Dodgers lost last night. And it ended up being a 5-3 game, but
they were down.
All 5 of those runs came in 2 innings.
Yeah, they were down.
Did they play tonight?
Yeah, they play tonight.
They play tonight, and then they play tomorrow. So the Dodgers have to win.
They have to win one in Houston. They have to win one in Houston.
Preferably 2.
Yes. I'm rooting for the Dodgers.
The problem is, as much as I want the Dodgers to win, right now I'm willing to admit that Houston is currently the better team. They have the momentum and they are executing better. Yeah. The Dodgers have been doing all right, but they're constantly playing behind right now, that's not helping them.
Yeah.
Because their starting pitching, other than Kershaw, is just not getting stuff done.
Kershaw killed it game 1.
Because even game 2, Rich Hill was the one who gave up the run.
They pulled him early, it felt like, a little bit.
Because he'd still gave up, even though he'd only come out with 1 run, he'd given up like 7 hits or something.
Oh, really? So they were just wanting to move him? Yeah.
And at that
Houston has a
time,
high-powered offense.
Their bench hadn't given up runs in 28 consecutive innings or something, which obviously broke once Jansen blew the save. And then last night didn't work either.
Nice.
They pulled Darvish after 1.2 innings.
Yeah, because he gave up 4 runs at that point, is what I read. And I was like, oh gosh, you just literally screwed your team.
And
they traded for Darvish this year.
But he's been playing well.
I know he's a good pitcher, but
the problem is, and someone was saying it on Twitter, and I think it's interesting, is because he was for the Rangers, and the Rangers are an American League team, Houston is used to playing against him, whereas all the other National League teams aren't used to it. So
I didn't think about that. You're
theoretically,
right,
it might.
They have more exposure to him, so they kind of know his tendencies a little better.
That's going to be the question: is if they get to a game 7. That would be Darvish's start. Are they going to do it again after he got lit up?
Can they put Kershaw? Can he go back to 5? If they go 7, he's doing game 5.
Well, so if he does game 5, they would have 1 travel day and 1 day. So he'd be coming back in 3 days.
That's so tough. I know, but he's a closer.
Depending on how Wood does, they could theoretically get him. He'd have at least 1 extra day because he's tonight and then.
Yeah. Depends on how it goes tonight.
Well, and that's the other thing is because of the last 2 games, how the bullpen has struggled. They've gone through a lot of pitching. Like it used to be. I think
their manager doesn't want to take a pitcher past 6 innings. Is what they're saying,
right? Kershaw went 7.
Well, yeah, but he can.
I think he'd be fine if they're doing well.
Yeah.
But again, the bullpen had been doing well. He could go, hey, Maeda 1 inning, pull him, he's fine.
Yeah.
Morrow 1 inning, and so on and so forth. And just finish out a game. But he's having to go and say, Maeda, you got to throw 3 innings because
that's hard.
Darvish didn't do it.
Yeah.
Because
and that changes your whole rotation at that point.
And throwing in people who he hasn't had to pitch, like McCarthy, he put in game 2, hadn't pitched the entire postseason.
Yeah, that's so tough.
So he gave up 2 runs that ended up being.
But you can't really blame the pitcher, I feel like, at that point.
Well, I mean, you can, but I mean,
when they're home runs, yeah, you can.
It's a tight rotation. Normally, you want to have a tighter rotation, but if you get thrown out, like literally with your starting ace, and he's only able to pitch an inning and a quarter,
and again,
you're behind.
The really unfortunate part about game 2 was, besides the blown save, because once they tied it up in the 9th, is Bellinger almost hit a walk off.
Bellinger's
to end the game in the 9th.
Yeah,
they caught it on the warning track. Then again, they gave up 2 runs, managed to tie it, and then another 2 runs. It's like you can't keep doing that.
Ump getting in the way.
I read
a
stat.
Well, yeah, the ump got.
Oh yeah, there was some controversial call.
I don't know if he would have. Well, it wasn't a controversial call, at least on that one. It was just the ump didn't manage to get out of the way, and so when they tried to pick him off, missed. It hit the ump. For sure, the guy would have got third. If they really wanted to, they probably could have tried to get, because he would have been the winning run, get him into home.
If he was getting past third,
they might have tried to have him go, depending on how good of a jump he got.
Right.
But because it hit the ump, he didn't get anything, and then the next guy got out. So, this is another thing, is because Alex Bregman, who's playing third base for the Astros,
right,
from Albuquerque, I actually played Little League with him.
Oh, nice.
He had that great catch.
He made the great catch that ended up saving the game for them, because the next, it was one of those like real quick reaction, just stretching, catching it. If he misses that, Turner gets on. Culberson, who comes up next, hit a home run. It would have been tied if he had.
And that was like that catch he made. It was like, I mean, if we're talking like another inch, he would not have gotten that ball.
So hopefully they play better tonight.
Hoping so.
They have to win at least one in Houston.
Yeah, to get back to
LA. If they can win 2 and get back to LA up 3-2, that would make me feel the best. Yeah. Obviously, they have to force the
trip back.
They have to break the momentum that the Astros have right now. And maybe Wood will do it.
Wood's solid, too. I mean, he was in the regular season.
The funny thing is, against he was in the regular season. But against Chicago, he's actually the only one who lost out of the pitchers.
And Houston had a high-powered offense throughout the entire year, so they're
has
tough.
Houston used all their good pitchers at this point?
Their good pitchers were their first.
Right, I would say
but
the Dodgers definitely have a deeper, better starting rotation, but their offense, their bats are really good. And so are LA's, but I mean, if you get off to a jump, then that changes the whole rotation of everybody, so it's like more of an even.
There's only so much you can do, and part of it too is like, up until this series, Justin Turner's been going off, and he's only hit like 2 hits against Houston.
And Bellinger was he the rookie of the year?
Yeah,
because he was
National League.
He was tearing it up, and he's a home run machine too. So
I'm just glad that the Yankees didn't make it in, because Aaron Judge seems like a big douche.
Yeah, he was a rookie too. Crazy though.
How do you really feel?
Oh, I said it.
He said his piece. Oh man, so we got. It's a good time of year for sports. We got World Series, basketball, NBA started.
My fantasy team is like screwing me over. Actually, I think this league is the one I'm doing the best.
Really?
Right now.
Dylan and I are top of our leagues, and we play each other this week because we're in opposite divisions.
I think you may beat me.
No. We're the same record, though.
Yeah,
I have some bad
injuries
players out right
Injuries / just running backs in general have killed me.
Oh, my goodness. This year...
Because we're going into week 8. Right. And we've lost Aaron Rodgers. We've lost David Johnson. Both of those with the potential to come back. Johnson will probably come back. Aaron Rodgers might come back right before postseason. It just depends on how they're doing.
If they make the postseason.
They probably won't rush him if he's not going to.
No.
We've lost...
We lost Edelman, David Johnson.
J.J.
Watt. Odell Beckham.
Watt's out, Odell Beckham.
Odell.
Practically the entire Giants receiving corps.
Yet
they still managed to beat the Broncos.
Dude, the Broncos are sucking.
They're having such an up and down year.
And it's one of those like
them,
it's bad.
They need to get some life in there.
They need to get Simeon is not the answer.
He's a great
Neither
backup.
is Paxton Lynch, but Simeon.
Maybe I was actually going for Ozzy.
Well, honestly, that's the thing. As bad as Osweiler also is, you got to mix it up and try to get some life.
There's this guy named Colin Kaepernick out there still.
I actually wouldn't be opposed to it at this point.
I mean, no, I'd be.
But compared to the way
he's been in a Super Bowl.
He got the Niners to the Super Bowl. Not many starting quarterbacks can say that.
It's true.
Even good starting quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of who else has gotten hurt.
There's so many this year. It's kind of ridiculous.
Well, we've got the whole Ezekiel Elliott up and down. Sometimes suspended, sometimes not.
Is he going to actually play the whole year or not?
I guarantee he will get suspended at some point.
Yeah, but it could be like Brady, where he plays the whole year and then gets suspended at the beginning of next year.
Or it'll be like they'll finally decide to uphold it right at the end of the season when it's going to screw all the fantasy owners over.
And the Cowboys for the playoffs.
Well, and then this last week, Fournette was hurt too.
Is he going to be out this week?
Well, it's a bye week this week for them.
Oh, okay.
And so I think that's what they were taking it.
They were saying he didn't even have to last week, but since
they were just taking it safe because they had that and the bye.
Yeah, because he was basically carrying their offense.
He scored in every start.
Dude, this really has been the year of the rookies. I feel
even Dalvin Cook, who was with the Vikings, he was having a hell of a year, but he got hurt too.
Yeah, no, there's tons.
Well, and Bridgewater got hurt. Well, no, he got hurt last year and just hadn't recovered.
And then Bradford got hurt.
Bradford got hurt.
Played a game. Dante Hightower
Yep.
He's a linebacker for the Patriots.
Oh,
He's out
Tannehill
now.
tore his ACL
Yeah.
That's
in the
right.
postseason.
Cutler cracked his ribs.
Cutler sucks.
Well,
Yeah,
even
but
Carr.
never thought they would want him.
Yeah,
You
I
see
mean,
what they
look at
did
even
Thursday
Carr
night?
was
They
out
down
again.
40
Yeah, but
to
even
nothing.
with him, I think they've been blanked twice or
You
something.
know what?
like that.
I was talking to somebody about this earlier today. The Dolphins have a winning record. They're like 4-3, yet they have a minus 80 point differential. It's like, how the hell are you guys pulling this shit out? So they will probably not make the. I'm gonna say they're not.
Actually,
gonna
that
make the
sounds like
postseason,
one of
but
my fantasy
It just sounds
teams.
so weird.
I'm tied for third place right now, and like 4-2, and yet I've scored 180 less than first place. They're at like 680,
Yeah.
and even the person above me is like 590. I'm like 508 or something. I just keep random.
You're getting everybody on their worst week.
Exactly.
Well, and
I've
I
had
feel
that.
like,
Except for my dad, who had no wins and then played me and he beat me.
Oh, no.
so I feel like that's kind of like for two though. Quarterbacks have been rough on fantasy. Like I feel like quarterbacks before, like you were getting quarterbacks that were averaging like
That's
15,
why they
20
say not
points
to
a game.
draft a quarterback early
And
because
see-
the point differential between the quarterback
This is
1
the-
and quarterback 8 is not that widespread.
Yeah, and but I just feel like quarterbacks haven't been putting up like big name quarterbacks were not putting.
No, like
up
Alex
Deshaun
Smith.
Watson's been
Alex
going
Smith,
off.
yeah, he's a rookie. And then Alex
Mariota's
Smith,
had like, and see, I picked Mariota up in a lot because like, oh, he runs, he does this, but it's
Yeah,
like
but
he's
he's had
even
an
had
up and
injuries.
down
He's
year
had
too,
like hard like. I picked up Dalton because like Dalton normally does good fantasy, but Bengals have just been crap.
Oh, and then
Ben Roethlisberger
he's gone
hasn't-
up.
He's
Yeah,
like
I
done
didn't see
nothing,
it coming
which
either.
is so funny because there'll be games where Antonio Brown's putting up 20, 25 points,
Yeah,
but Ben still
not-
only has like 10 points.
because
Like,
nobody
that's-
else is catching it.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's just like he's
That's
doing.
weird with the whole Martavis Bryant situation they got.
I
What
wouldn't
happened?
want him on my team.
I didn't even hear what happened.
Juju Smith-Schuster
Yes,
Yeah, I
good
picked him up,
pronunciation
and he
too.
didn't-
got
give me-
a.
He's taken over
He
his
caught
role.
he caught a touchdown last game, and then because Martavis was a healthy scratch,
yeah.
and he came out after and was like, Juju's
Trade.
not a good,
Good receiver.
player.
He's not better
like,
than me.
and
And he requested a trade, allegedly.
And so it's basically like, regardless of how good you are, you have negative, like you're putting off
You're a-
bad vibes, and you're like a
You're
bad
a locker
teammate.
room. Yeah, you're
Like,
bad.
So
at
are
that
they
right
getting
now.
rid of him, or are they just not
No,
playing?
you know what? No, they regulated him down to his like the scout team, and he's not gonna play this week. Yeah,
Steelers have been having just a rough year with just like.
Which one? Because he didn't play last year.
no, because he
hurt.
was suspended. No, he was suspended.
Oh, was
the
it
entire,
suspended
yeah.
the entire-
It was a
So-
drug policy thing.
It's been I don't know, dude. It's been a year for rookies and NFL.
Yeah, like Kareem Hunt didn't out of nowhere. Didn't see that one.
My dad did. He picked him up in every league.
That helped only because that was another injury. Is the Chiefs drafted Kareem Hunt, but they had Spencer Ware as their starting running back
Yep.
in the preseason. He went down for the year, and that's
There's
kind of what
been-
catapulted Kareem up. So
Well, and even like the Bengals are annoying me because I'm not a Bengals fan,
Mixon.
but Joe Mixon is clearly their best back. And
They're
yet
not playing him enough.
They keep trying to mix Jeremy
I
Hill
know.
and
See,
Gio
and it's
Bernard.
annoying.
They
Cut Hill.
Because
suck.
I picked
yeah.
Mixon up in
And that's the
almost all
funny
my
thing is like
leagues.
C.J. Spiller and Jeremy Hill were two like really good pickups like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
and
now
they
irrelevant.
haven't done anything.
Absolutely
they just
irrelevant.
like
I almost lost a league championship game because it was like I remember it was like 2 or 3 years ago. Jeremy Hill and the Bengals were visiting the Broncos, and the Broncos gave up like an 80-yard run to Hill, and he was fantasy relevant then.
No,
But
he's
now
not.
it's like,
Yeah.
so
It's just I don't know. Like
kind of a crazy.
it's been really hard.
And
I
even the
feel to play
Patriots
the
suck
waiver
this
wire
year.
this year because it's just like I feel like there's just when you get to running backs, there's just no one.
yeah.
It's hard to
And
get.
it's-
A
Well,
good
and
quality
for me,
running back.
because Ty Montgomery's another one with the injury. Because
yeah,
this team, I admit, I drafted wide receiver heavy because I have like Doug Baldwin, Antonio Brown, Keenan Allen, and T.Y. Hilton.
Oh, jeez.
And then my starting running backs were Ty Montgomery, who at the beginning of the year was doing really well,
Very well.
and
He's a
Jonathan
pass catcher.
Stewart.
Oh gosh.
Uh,
Stewart
Who
hasn't been
wasn't
doing,
doing-
it's McCaffrey
No.
that's
But
Well,
neither of them's been doing
They're
good.
No, that's
splitting,
true.
and neither of them's really going off. And
But again,
McCaffrey's
the
a
beginning
PPR
of the
guy.
year,
Yeah.
Stewart was still getting 10
Goal
points,
line
so
work,
it's
yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
But the problem is Ty Montgomery got hurt and hasn't done anything since getting hurt. Basically, even though he's played, he's
No, 'cause
lost all his
he's-
snaps to
yeah.
Adam Jones,
Yeah, they've
And-
actually snapping Jones more than.
and just
Montgomery.
the Panthers have decided they don't want to play.
Oh my gosh.
So
Yeah.
Stewart's doing nothing. So he ended a game with -4 yards.
Oh.
Thankfully, I did not have him on my team at that point. He was on my bench. But I'm like, these were the two guys I drafted as running back. Like, There's
who'd you
nobody
pick
to
up?
pick up.
Yeah.
I don't remember who I have right now.
Dude,
It's
I'll
hard.
tell you, defenses. Like, I picked up Jacksonville's defense. Last week got me 20 points.
They changed their name on Twitter to Saxonville.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Because I got 10 sacks.
Well, I think, like, I don't know if they still do, but at one point,
I'm
early
starting
on, they
Wendell
led-
Smallwood and Jarek McKinnon. I picked them both up off the window.
McKinnon's good. Smallwood's still going to be split with everybody.
McKinnon's only good when they're doing the pass game because Murray gets it when they're doing. Well, he's their pass
Catcher?
back.
Okay.
And Murray's the one who's just like the power back.
I'll tell you
gotcha.
the best
So like last
combo.
week they were so far ahead that they were just running it a bunch.
Yeah.
So Murray
he
got
didn't
a
get
bunch
as
of yards.
McKinnon.
I'll
was
tell you
kinda-
what, the best pairing I think you could have picked this year was Wentz and Ertz for Philly.
Yes.
Dude,
Yeah.
Ertz
They-
killed me
We
last
have
week.
Ertz in our league, the one we're
Yeah,
we're
and
all
see,
in,
I
but
wanted both of them, and it just like when it came out,
They're
I didn't
saying
get
Wentz,
them.
and I don't doubt it. Like he's an MVP right now.
Oh, dude, he's
They're-
killing.
like,
He's
Eagles are
actually willing to
6-1
take
or something.
shots too.
He's killing, and like the combination between them
Yeah.
is lethal. I mean,
Yeah.
I think their combination is bigger than Gronkowski and.
Well, Gronk's
What's
hurt
his
and he's
name,
older,
whatever.
and
Yeah.
you know the Patriots are a mess this year
No,
too.
dude, the
At least
Patriots-
on
They
always
still
barely-
managed to be like 5-3.
They're barely getting
but
by.
But some
They're-
of those games they could have gone either way. A lot
Yeah.
of them. But their defense is like
But I'll
so
tell you what,
porous.
Philly's gonna be. I could see Philly going far. They're
They can make
they're
the Super Bowl.
beasts,
Did you?
dude.
I don't know if you guys saw. I think I showed you because there was the fog for last week's.
Yeah, I
Sunday
saw
night
that.
game.
I did see that.
The report was that the Chargers couldn't study the game film for that
For the
because
Patriots.
it was so foggy.
How crazy.
And I think it was so Julio Jones came out and said, like, there was a bunch of jokes that was like, oh, like Foggate there.
Yeah, right,
They
'cause that's
caught
the
the fog.
Pats.
But Julio Jones like legitimately came out and said he was not blaming them for the fog, but he was saying like, I just think it's funny that they kept firing off like fireworks, making it harder to see and making it harder for
More-
a team to make a
yeah,
comeback. You're like,
yeah.
really, Julio? Really?
That's another thing with Atlanta is like they don't use
They're
Julio
not.
enough.
Dude, Atlanta. I feel like
They're hit or
Atlanta
miss.
was supposed to be such a better team this year.
Well, they
and
made the
they're
Super Bowl,
such
and
a
this year they kind of taken a
disappointment.
drop off. Honestly, I could see the Saints. I think the Saints are going to win that division.
Dude,
Another running-
Saints are killing it.
Another
Well, they
running
lost the
back
first
that's
two
killing
games.
me
Kamara.
that I
Anderson.
well Anderson, yes.
Oh, jeez. Well, the whole Broncos
But,
offense. Don't start any of them. Fantasy advice: don't start any Bronco.
If you remember back to our draft podcast, I said I had high hopes for Marshawn Lynch.
Oh,
Who
No,
was I wrong?
Gurley.
They don't use
We
him at
talked
all.
about Gurley. and
I've got
Gurley,
him.
I got Gurley,
know.
too, in one of
Because
my
remember,
leagues.
I went for Gurley. You picked him up right before me, so then I was like, oh, I'll go with Lynch.
He's
You-
the fantasy
you
MVP
clearly-
so far. He's the highest scoring
Gurley?
player
Oh,
thus far. But
dude,
yeah,
yeah, Lynch hasn't done shit except get it.
you got
and
suspended
kicked out of
a
a
game,
game
too. Yeah,
for-
shoving a ref.
Yeah,
And
for
Peters-
punching the ref.
Peterson is an interesting one.
I was
because
trying to pick him up.
I-
he was
he's
doing
in every league
nothing
picked
with
New
New Orleans.
right?
and then he gets traded and instantly
Boom,
boom.
But then
has
the
a
next
great- and
game,
then
they
but
do
the
next
last
week.
one they struggled because they lost Palmer, another injury,
another injury, IR.
broke his arm.
Yeah,
So someone else just broke their arm too. Who was it?
somebody else broke their arm.
I think so.
Same week.
I thought so. Maybe it was just
I don't know.
him.
There's been so many.
Oh, Flacco just got.
Oh,
Yeah,
that hit.
Flacco
Oh.
got concussed.
Ooh, that look. So that's kind of controversial, only in the sense, but he did slide. I feel like he slided really late. You know,
Flacco's
and then-
really bad at sliding. Last year, he almost blew his knee out.
It
sliding
seems to
wrong.
me that
I mean, he shouldn't have gone for the
the
head.
hit
Kiko
was.
Alonso,
I think the
he went
hit.
for the head,
The hit
though.
itself would have been legal, but I think that it seemed to me that he had enough time to lessen his hit.
Right.
And he didn't.
and he also directed it towards the head, which is an automatic foul
I
at
feel
that point.
like you
but-
shouldn't get in trouble for not lessening a hit. It's football.
Well, but it's a.
Well, no,
The
but
guy's
it's the
already given
quarterback.
up.
The quarterback, and he gave himself up when he slides. So that's the thing. He's like, at that point, you're not supposed to hit. You're supposed to touch.
You can
I would
knock
say-
that ball out.
Not if he's.
Well,
No,
if
that's
he's
true.
sliding, he's down at
Yeah,
that point.
that's true.
The
That's
second
why you can't.
All you
slide-
gotta do is touch him. Yeah, that's right.
So
Okay.
it happened. That's
yeah.
the thing though. That those hits are so fast, and like when you watch them in slow mo, it looks horrible. But in game speed, it's like, really, can you alter it too much? You know?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, it's one of those tricky things.
Well,
'cause
and dude, like.
there was a hit on a Packers receiver,
remember-
Devontae Adams, when
Yeah.
Trevathan hit him,
Oh,
and
yeah.
he wasn't even going. But by the time he had reached where, like, the speed of it, it was just crazy.
Did you
He
guys
played
see
that next game and did really good too.
He did. Which was
Vontae's
crazy.
perfect, like
kick?
grabbing and throwing a guy down by his
Oh,
neck?
No, that was
in the
Sue.
last game?
Sue. Ndamukong Suh did that.
I think
No,
Perfect did it.
Perfect did it.
Well, Perfect also
he
kicked
just-
the guy
yeah,
too.
'cause
after
he
the-
just
Dude,
got-
I love Perfect.
Well,
Dude,
I
he
saw-
has the best stories.
No, the guy-
No,
the guy-
he does not. He
God.
shouldn't be in this league anymore.
Well,
No,
that's what
no.
Le'Veon Bell said. He was like, "Are you serious? You guys are
No.
allowing this guy to
Perfect
do this?"
hurts people on purpose.
Well, he
So
got
the
suspended.
funny thing is,
Yeah,
At the beginning of the year,
got,
he didn't even
he
play.
got fined again, and I saw a thing that says that at this point he's been fined so many times he has had to pay 10% of his salary towards fines.
That is so ridiculous. That's so ridiculous.
My dad's a Bengals fan,
Yeah.
and the Bengals love Perfect because
he's an aggressive player.
he's aggressive. But it's like overly
But still,
aggressive.
though,
I don't agree with it.
He
I think
cost them that game in the playoffs against the Steelers. He
Yeah.
literally cost them on that hit
he's
on
a
Brown.
mean. I mean, especially against the Steelers, I feel like he was very tame this last game against the Steelers compared to what he normally is. I mean,
He
he's
still kicked
Yeah.
and threw a guy down.
yeah, but that's like
tame.
he's full blown like knocked Antonio Brown out. Like he's concussed Bell. Like he's hurt Ben. Like he normally does a lot worse. And like that's why every time like they were on defense is like, oh, Perfect, don't kill someone.
Like, don't get
Like-
fined today.
Yeah.
They should just tell him,
I'm
don't get
sure
fined
so they're
today.
fined.
Yeah. So
10%. That is ridiculous.
I think one last thing we should talk about before we kind of wrap it up that has happened since, or at least one thing that I can think of. Maybe you guys have thought of anything else. But yeah, the Last Jedi trailer. We finally got trailer number 2 like
Right.
2 weeks ago. 3
Yeah,
weeks
it was
ago.
about 2 weeks ago.
I
Okay.
bought my tickets the day they were
Right, I saw
available.
that. Yeah.
I'll also be seeing Thor Ragnarok
That's this week.
next.
No, it's Thursday.
This Thursday, yeah. I
It's
can't go this Thursday,
technically
but
next week.
Yeah,
But
it's
yes.
this upcoming week.
yeah, I was supposed to go with them, but we had security
I
tickets.
forgot, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like,
Tommy Buns is coming to town.
yeah, the
It's
hat
okay.
comment.
But yeah, so Last Jedi trailer. I assume you saw
Yeah,
it too.
absolutely.
Thoughts
see it?
on it?
So,
I think it's showing the first 20 seconds of the movie.
no. Not this
No,
one.
first like 5-10 minutes.
Here's the thing.
That's
Still
what's
no,
The
I
in it.
disagree
idea,
with that.
the director even came out and said there's spoilers in the trailer, and the idea that you're led to believe is that Kylo is going to kill Leia, but
And
I
that
feel
Rey
like-
is gonna
Be bad.
right,
at least seek his help.
right. He even offers his hand. It appears,
And I
However,
think both of those. Well, so we kind of know that Leia's pretty much gonna die in
and
this
that's just because of the
because they
late
said that they
Carrie
didn't
Fisher,
have to
yeah.
change her story at all, which
Right, and
basically means she's gonna die
right.
regardless.
Well, yeah, they've transitioned some of the plot, I think,
but they didn't have to like reshoot anything.
no,
or
no, no,
something
no,
like that.
yeah.
Like they didn't have to make two major.
No, they
alters.
didn't. They didn't.
And I think both that shot of Kylo theoretically killing Leia and the shot of him reaching his hand out and offering it to Rey
I feel like
and
that's
her.
a misdirection.
I think they are both misdirections.
That's what I was thinking too.
If you ask me, it's more likely because we have the whole thing of Luke saying, "I've only seen this raw power once. I'm not. I'm like,
I don't want to.
we're not going to be part of this." Like to me, the response then is Rey saying to Luke, like, "If you're afraid of this, like, help. Like, how else am I supposed to
How am I
be
supposed to
able
be,
to
yeah.
this without help?"
Right. Yeah, because you have to channel that.
And for all we know, she could also be talking to Snoke. So
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely a lot of misdirection. We're
I
led
don't
to believe
think
certain
that those are things that
but
they would straight up put in the trailer.
No,
as
there has to
the
be a
reality.
bigger play. There's a bigger play that we aren't yet aware of. We have ideas, and I feel like that's where they're wanting to lead you in the trailer. But at the same time, there's something bigger. I feel like going
I think a good trailer should give you enough to where you're interested, but it should lie to you to where you don't.
I feel like
actually know
that's
what's
what
going
this
on.
trailer exactly
And that's
did.
exactly what I feel. That's why I say like I feel like the big stuff is either like right in the beginning and it's just placed like weird, so you're like, oh, this is definitely like towards the end of the movie. This is happening. I feel like they trick you in that way. I feel like the camera angles and not seeing things in the same shot, like her straight up like being there grabbing, like I feel like they do stuff to throw you off because I don't know. For me, I think if a trailer's giving that kind of stuff away, it's kind of stupid. But and it's like
Disney. This is Disney.
Yeah,
though. They're too smart for
not-
that. They're not gonna do that. This is their baby. The Star Wars is the biggest.
It's-
It's gonna be the biggest blockbuster of the year.
and they're not going to give that much away in a trailer.
Dude, well, yeah, so buying my tickets the day of, we ended up having to settle for the 10:45 show, which is fine with me. We wanted to do the 9 o'clock, though. The 9 o'clock, and these are the 2D showings. And with, Century Rio, of course, they're reserved seating, which is nice.
Which is a lot better. You don't have to wait in line. Which is
But yeah,
lovely.
so the 9:30, like 9 o'clock, 7:30, like all of those were basically completely sold
Minutes.
out already. And this is 6:30 p.m. when I'm trying to buy them.
Yeah.
The
How
day
crazy.
they came out.
How crazy. Yeah.
And
Oh, it's gonna be huge.
even with the ones that I bought, it's like a little bit farther back and like slightly towards the edge, but it's like as close to the middle as I can pick because all the middle ones are still bought even in the 1045 showing.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
No, it'll be good.
It's gonna be big.
It's gonna be big.
Thor's gonna be good too.
Thor's coming out this week.
I'm excited for Thor actually.
Thor and Star Wars is kind of what I'm excited to see the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Those are only two I can really.
I don't think there's
recall.
anything else worth seeing probably. I'm interested. I haven't seen really anything. I saw like one trailer of it, but I don't know the full extent of what it is. Is the Suburbicon? I think it's called.
Oh, that just came out, right?
With Matt Damon.
Yeah.
It's not one I'm gonna pay to see, but I'd be interested to see it later.
Yeah, it looks like it was some odd slasher neighborhood kind of weird.
Yeah, something.
But it does look interesting though. I did see the trailer for that too. So yeah, Thor this week, and then
Did I ever talk about seeing the Mummy and Transformers 5 on here?
Yeah, you did.
Okay. They both sucked.
Even though
Just make sure everybody knows.
I
that
think
again.
I don't know if it was an underrated movie, but a movie we just saw was Baby Driver, and I
I did.
really
I did talk about
liked
that. You
Baby
guys
Driver.
both saw that?
Yeah,
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
I watched it with him and Beth.
Nice.
Yeah, and I it was really good.
I third wheeled Baby Driver.
You third wheel. I like. Good,
It was really
good
good.
pun.
I thought it was a great
No,
movie.
it really did remind me a lot of
I felt like that was an underrated film.
Yeah, absolutely.
Guardians of the Galaxy in terms of the way that the music worked into like
the
plot
soundtrack.
stuff.
The soundtrack
Because
was a big deal.
it's very much the same kind of soundtrack, and just like with Peter, it's like there's a reason that we're hearing this is because he's literally listening to that. And I think the point that you had made, and I was listening for, it's like, and it's cool, is, anytime he isn't, you do hear that slight ringing, just so that we are still aware of it. But I think Edgar Wright is one of
He's a talented filmmaker.
He's
he really
probably
is.
one of my favorites.
You
He's
know,
not
he was
my
originally-
favorite, but he is one of my favorites.
Mine too. He was originally slated to do the Ant-Man.
Well, he was still had a lot of
But
influence.
yeah,
on
he
it. They
did.
still list
He
him
did,
as
yeah.
it, but-
But he's doing some other stuff too.
One, he did Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, which is
That
one
was
of my
great. That was
favorites.
great.
And
So.
the Shaun of the Dead. And,
Oh yeah.
I mean,
no, he's
Hot Fuzz
he's a
was
talented guy.
So
And Baby Driver was
it was
a successful underrated film of the
really,
year.
really good night. I really enjoyed it.
And then there's a Pacific Rim 2 trailer as well.
Sorry,
Yeah.
real quick with Baby Driver, I will say I felt that the ending, the very ending with how it. I mean, we can
they did
probably
leave it
just
open.
spoil it
They
at
did
this
leave
point,
it open.
right?
It's definitely left open for.
We can
Yeah,
just.
yeah.
It's probably
Yeah,
we're gonna
it came
spoil
out in
it.
July.
If you haven't.
It came in
so
July.
Them getting caught, I have no problem with that.
Right.
Then there's the discussion of whether or not he is actually getting out of prison or that's just his imagination at that point, since we'd already seen the thing. I think it was based in an interview. It was like she thinks the actress says she thinks that's real life, and he actually says the main baby said he thought that it was just his imagination.
Oh, really?
But it's supposed to be left up to your interpretation. You decide what it
I didn't
because
know that.
Edgar
Yeah, I
Wright
thought he
purposely
just
didn't
got
want
out.
to age them at all or give a 5 years later or anything.
Yeah, because it was like 4 or 5
He just
years.
wants to make you decide: is this the parole stuff, or is this just him imagining? But yeah, so I have no problem with them getting caught. I felt like, to me, Kevin Spacey sacrificing himself for Baby felt
Out of
forced.
character.
It did. Yeah, it didn't feel like something he
it
would
felt
necessarily
like
do.
yeah. He went from like this kind of like I'm in charge,
Like, you do what I
I'm doing
say.
this, to suddenly like I'm
like a father
sacrificing
figure,
myself for you.
almost,
It's like
like-
wait, what?
Yeah, I feel like that was weird.
Yeah.
That was the part that I had an issue with.
Yeah.
And I also had like I wish we could have seen. I'm gonna call him Shane from Walking Dead because I don't know his actual name. Fine, we'll call him Frank Castle.
Oh yeah, he was only in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah,
I thought.
yeah.
He's
And I
so
feel-
high. He's like the second listed person on the
Yeah,
credits.
yeah.
No, honestly, I'd rather have him been in it than Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx annoyed me so
Oh, I
much.
loved his character in it though.
annoyed
He was
me
crazy.
in
He's
the
a
movie,
crazy
though.
character.
He is crazy.
Crazy
And
character,
obviously he
but-
does progress the plot. and
Yeah,
stuff.
he does. But I get what you're saying. I was
I'm
surprised
just not
that.
a fan of Jamie Foxx. I would have liked the other guy.
Yeah, but I'm surprised we
But-
didn't see him again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was really well done movie. I thought it was an
It's even a good
original
date night
plot.
flick too.
Yeah,
for sure.
and it was like a very good original new plot.
Right. It's not something
Which is
remade
what I
or
like about it.
rehashed.
Yeah,
or-
yeah.
So that was a good one.
And then yeah, so you said Pacific Rim 2. Personally,
I'm kind of excited, but yeah, it does feel a little.
It definitely
gimmicky,
feels like one of those
Transformers-ish,
where
a little too forced.
we didn't actually have a plan for a second movie, but we're coming up with it. 'cause-
Charlie Hunnam's not in this one. So...
No, he is.
Oh, is
Or
he?
no, excuse me, Charlie Day is not Charlie.
Yeah, no, Charlie
no.
Yeah, because
But
John Boyega
John-
is
yeah,
one
he's
of the main guys.
Which is weird because his character is supposed to be Idris Elba's son. Yet
didn't
meanwhile, in the
know that.
first one, like Idris Elba is basically catering to the Asian chick, which is fine, like as his daughter. But then, like he's supposed to have a son randomly now. It's like
Yeah.
it just feels a little. We were saying that you're right. It's like, oh, we don't have an idea for a second one. We're gonna force some ideas. Oh, hey, why don't we bring in this guy? He could be this dead guy's son. But okay, we'll see what happens. But
And
so,
Ron Perlman's not in it, and they even like hinted him being alive still. So
yeah, it's gonna be a bummer too. And it's also a bummer that he's not doing the Hellboy.
is he not? What happened?
No, they're rebooting Hellboy.
I didn't know they were rebooting it.
Yeah, they're rebooting it with Hopper from Stranger Things. He's gonna be Hellboy.
I actually kind of agree with that. Even
No,
though
they are. Yeah. So just
I kind of agree
know.
with that, just because I really like that actor. I feel like he'd do good.
He's a good actor.
I do just like.
But it's a reboot again.
Pearl,
So,
yeah. Well, and I'm trying to think. Obviously, Justice League comes out like a week or two after.
I love how we didn't mention Justice League, but you're right. Just okay.
Still,
Okay.
I don't think I've even watched the most recent trailer because I still don't care.
So
think
blah.
I've
I still haven't seen Wonder Woman. I still want to. see
no, Wonder Woman's good. See
Wonder
Wonder
Woman is worth.
It is worth.
I have a
even-
bad feeling that Justice League is going to outperform Thor, and then everyone's going to see
maybe.
and then everyone's going to be like, "See, this is the DCU making a comeback." But that's just because
Thor
in the
will be a
end,
better quality movie.
But that's
Thor
just
looks
saying.
so
Like,
good.
I bet you that if Avengers and Dark Knight Rises come out like the same month, Avengers probably still would have made more money, and clearly it did make.
Didn't
more
they come
money.
out the same summer?
I don't think so.
I think
They
they
came
did.
out
The
within,
first
like, a week.
Avengers
Maybe
and the
Dark
Dark Knight
Knight
Rises.
Rises.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was.
I understand. Like it's hard to compare a single superhero movie
To an
with,
ensemble
and it's
one.
especially when this is the first time we will be seeing all
A
the
lot
Justice
of
League
them.
together, and it's like, hey, like I'm a big DC fan, so I'm gonna watch that.
Right. Yeah.
And I think the hard part with Thor being, even though this one does seem like a very good movie, it seems cool and a little bit more out there for Thor. I think Thor historically has been one of the lesser performing of the Avenger standalones.
Right. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Which is annoying.
But
'cause
that's
Iron Man
another
3 was just
interesting thing with
terrible.
this one is that you also have the Hulk, and Marvel has explicitly said that the Hulk will not have a standalone movie at any point.
Well, and
so
it'll be interesting to see how they do
dynamic,
it because
I'm really
there's the
excited,
Hulk,
personally.
there's him,
And Doctor
Valkyrie
Strange.
she seems pretty cool.
yeah, she does.
Doctor Strange will have some small part, but clearly based off the trailer, he's very early on because Thor still has long hair.
Right.
Or way at the end. Maybe.
I don't think he's going to
I
I
don't
bet
think
he has
so.
short hair going
Yeah.
into Infinity War. Hela seems pretty cool.
Loki's back, which
And
I mean,
Loki is another one. It's like, we love Loki, so we got to come up with a way for him. And it makes sense.
I just wonder how they're going
I
to tie
think-
that
well,
into how he.
I don't know
at the
how-
end of the second one.
yeah.
My guess is he probably flees when Hela attacks,
Yeah.
and then he's only teaming up with Thor kind of as we're both losing our kingdom,
Right.
essentially.
We should both fight for it now.
Yeah.
We'll call ourselves the Revengers.
Dude, it seems like such a good.
The
I don't know.
Revengers.
Again, it really feels like Asgardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. That's how it's been
I'm not
marketed,
gonna
too.
act like I've created that. I read that on Twitter.
No, but I do like that. It's
I agree
very.
with
I think it's very on point. So yeah.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts? I think we covered a lot today.
Yeah, we did.
I'm sure there's something we forgot. We're gonna
We'll
kick
talk
ourselves.
about it.
in.
We'll be
But-
back. Be like, oh yeah, your pupils are so dilated. Now they're changing again.
All
Anyway.
right. Yeah.
Until
Cool.
next time, we'll try to. I'm sure we'll figure out what our schedules are like coming up, but
I think
We're good.
I'm pretty good.
I
for
think
next
I
week,
should be
but-
good for a while now. So
But we've each basically just had like
We each had
you
took
were
a
busy
sabbatical.
when the two of us were free, and then I was like busy for
Yeah.
2 weekends.
And I was. Yeah.
you were out of town. I was at. We were all out of town at one point.
Yeah.
When like I finally put out a new My Two
I
Cents
saw that,
the
yeah.
other day, and I've been meaning to do that one for 2 weeks
Really?
now.
I
'cause,
feel like we should do that more often because it is fun to kind of, and then we
Yeah.
can even incorporate that.
Well, and
into
again, it
more,
fills in
so.
those gaps.
Absolutely.
And it just was stuff was busy,
I know,
and
yeah.
it'd be like, okay, we can't shoot this weekend. Like, I'll need to try to remember. Oh crap, it's Friday, and I forgot to do it. Oh,
happens.
I forgot again, and
What are you doing, man?
I'm gonna cut that tongue
Please,
off.
we're gonna cut it out and cut it off.
All right, so happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Be safe. Eat all the candy, but make sure to check it first.
Don't
And,
die.
Yeah, I found a machete on mine.
You did? Are
What?
you going to?
It's a really big.
All right.
apple.
Until next time on Next Topic, we're signing off.
Boo.